All right. Well, welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here as we are live from Omaha, Nebraska at DJs Dugout here in Omaha. Like, listen, I would just get right to it, Ellis. We get here a little bit late. Everyone's going to be like, oh, was it Ellis's internet that messed up? All of this stuff that could have happened, maybe happened, but our software that we normally use to where we go across all social medias and everything decided to crash literally a minute before we went live. And so we have to adjust. We just have to adjust. So we apologize about the technical difficulties. We apologize that we're not being on social media and having everybody jump around and everything, but we appreciate you tuning in. Sorry about that. But hey, we're here in Omaha. We're getting ready for the College World Series. We're at DJ's Dugout. We're alive. People can hear us. That's all that matters.
Yeah, we don't need no fancy graphics. We don't need no fancy Facebook and Twitter streams or anything. We're just raw dogging it on YouTube. And it's about the vibes, and the vibes still are good despite all of these circumstances. And it's so funny, you mentioned how the details of it all, and no one's ever going to believe that truly it wasn't our fault, and there was literally nothing we could have done about this. But it was just kind of hilarious how it played out, where we're sitting here debating, okay, should we connect to the DJ's internet? Should we hotspot it? Is there a private one? What can we do? We go through all these options. We kind of figure it out. And I'm talking about seconds away from going live. StreamYard just completely shuts down. We felt a lot better, and I'm sure you guys, a lot of people can relate to this. When we went to Twitter and just typed in StreamYard, we saw like hundreds of people being like, StreamYard crashed, which makes you feel better that it's not your fault. And so we apologize for the delay, but we scurried here to Omaha. Can't wait to get to practice later. Like, that's going to be awesome.
Yep.
The vibes are still great, and this does not in any way get in the way of the Natty run that we're about to go on here.
No, in fact, this might be the worst part of the Natty run that's about to go on because it happens now, and rest of the time we're going to be good to go. So we're going to have some things to talk about today. Again, it's going to be an unorthodox stream, but we appreciate everybody tuning in for it either way. We're going to talk about some of the stuff not only going on here in Omaha for the College World Series, but we're getting some other news as well as going on around the world. We'll get to what's to watch for, presented by Bryant Technologies, as well as get into, of course, our Alumni Hall question of the day. We'll look at some of the spreads and everything going on with BetSaracen and talk to you about Freedom Boat Club, all the great stuff that we have going on, no matter what. But I will say that it's a kind of an interesting thing. That's what's going to be going on here is that we have here DJs, and the weather's good. You're starting to see baseball people coming in pretty well. Like it's going to be good though. Like I think the vibes are going to be extremely high no matter what.
Yeah, the vibes are going to be great. Yeah, we don't want to name drop. We're not in the name dropping business, but yeah, there were a couple hogs in here, not players, but members of the program. Things are still great at DJ's Dugout, man. It's so good to be back here. I mean, this is our first stop, and we knew it was going to be our first stop. We have not gone anywhere else in Omaha, and we're going to go a few places this weekend, but there's not many places better than DJ's Dugout. Walking distance of half a mile walk from the stadium. It's great. And, like you said, we're going to go see practice later today. That's going to be exciting. We'll have some video from that. So I'm sure a lot of fans will love hearing from that. We'll get to see some players too. I mean, there's just a lot of good things. And it's nice to be here a couple days early to enjoy kind of the calm before the storm here.
Yeah, and that's what it's going to be. It's going to be storming right over here, and everything's going to be insane overall because, listen, it's a fun time to be here in Omaha, and it's been too long for Arkansas since they've been here.
Yeah.
We were talking about that driving up, how rough it was that this has been a whole, 3 years since Arkansas has been here, and you just can't have that. It's unacceptable. Yeah. But then we look back in history for Arkansas. If you think about it, from like you win 2004, you took a few years off, but then you went in 09. And then you went 10, 11, nobody. No going anywhere. Then 12, you're back. And then you go 13, 14, nothing. But then 15. And then 16, 17, nothing. Then 18. Then 19, 20 with COVID. 21, then 22. So it's almost like every third year is when you end up going to the World Series. But this time it's a little bit different because everything feels like this is the year you're going in as a favorite. We know with Arkansas and LSU, it's going to be extremely contested and extremely difficult to get through that. But this is the time where I know you felt good maybe in 2018. You felt good in other years, but I'd be hard-pressed to find a year where if you're a Razorback fan, you feel better than what you do right now about your chances of winning it all. It's not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not saying you're just going to roll through it, but you'd be hard-pressed to find a time where you feel better about it than right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is Arkansas's 4th time being in Omaha since 2018. You know how many college baseball programs have done it more times than that? Literally none of them. So for as much talk as we have about Arkansas being these chokers and these guys that don't show up in the postseason, and while that certainly was true in 2024, 2023, you had some disappointing exits. The big picture of it, you take a step back and you look at this program. This is a normal routine thing. You mentioned all the years there. I know that nobody stays in college for 4 years, and it's not really a thing that happens. But if you were a freshman that came to play at Arkansas and you spent 4 years, you would have to go all the way back to 2005 for there to be a freshman class that stayed at Arkansas for 4 years and would not have had a trip to Omaha starting in 06. Every single freshman class, basically. That's a promise that Dave Van Horn can give those guys. Is like, look, you're going to get to play in Omaha. It's going to be awesome. And for him to deliver on that promise to a lot of those transfers and, to be able to, because that's what you pitch to all these guys. You come to Arkansas wanting to be here. When Cam Kozel decided to go from Vanderbilt to Auburn or from Vanderbilt to Arkansas, a big part of it is like, hey, I want to get back to Omaha. I want to play there. I want to be on those big stages. And so I think it's important. You don't have to get there every year. Of course, that's the goal. That's the expectation. It's Omaha or bust. The program's at that stage where it really is. Any season that doesn't end here is a disappointment. And that's why we've been so disappointed the last couple of years. But I think it's just a good little feather in your cap to just be like, hey, every 3 years at least. And sometimes we'll go back to back. Maybe we'll win a natty. But I think what's different about this time is this is probably the least satisfied the Razorback fan base has been going into Omaha, save for maybe that 2018 season, because I think that year you really did feel like Arkansas had a chance. But like in 2022, that Arkansas team wasn't even hosting. Like it really kind of felt like them getting to Omaha was miraculous. And a lot of years, I mean, those early years with DVH, 2004, we were just thrilled to be there. 2009, it was just crazy that they were winning games, that they had a chance there. 2012 maybe had a little bit of where you're like, hey, maybe this team could do it. But it's rare that this Razorback fan base, really any fan base, enters this College World Series in Omaha, and they've got a lot of items on the agenda of like, we need to do this. We got to win these games. A lot of times this is where teams come to not feel pressure. That's not where Arkansas is at as a program. The job is not finished here, and so we look forward to seeing if Arkansas can get that job done. But you're right. Like when you look at the program big picture and you just add it all up, it's really impressive what Dave Van Horn's done with this program for sure.
Yep, absolutely. And again, like I said, we appreciate everybody being patient with us, and because we're just having to put it all together here for this live stream, and who knows, maybe we'll do another one later this afternoon if things get settled in with some of our software that people just decide to bust out. But people asking about Curtis. Curtis is in flight, or at least traveling.
He got fired this morning.
Yeah, we were just like, hey, basketball's done, buddy, after the newest commit today, so you're done. We're not going to talk to you anymore. But he will be joining us later into this trip. So he's got some obligations he's got to take care of. But you're just going to put up with me and Andrew for the next few days here. And again, we're going to be live from DJs Dugout. And because somebody just asked if DJs Dugout is the Hogs hangout. Yes, it is. And Matthew even says, he's like, where are most Hog fans going to be hanging out pregame, postgame? Here, DJ's Dugout.
I was just about to say, I don't know if we have the ability, since, of course, we're not doing this on our normal apparatus here. I think I might be able to pin. Oh, no, I can just pin things in the chat. Never mind. It does. So we're not able to pull your chats and highlight it and give you your props. But we are able to see you guys' chats, and we are going to have a conversation. So feel free to fire away. Like we're going to we're gonna answer all the questions. We just might not be able to pull them up. And again, it's important to remember this because this really is the most important thing. It's not our fault. So don't.
It's not our fault. It's not our fault. Yeah.
But no, you're right. I mean, DJ's Dugout is always a big hangout. The team is staying very close to this very location. Again, it's less than a half a mile from the stadium. It's a 9-minute walk according to Apple Maps. And I'm going to make that walk here in a little bit. But it's a very good location. There's a lot of places around Omaha that are just jam-packed all the time. And DJs will get pretty popping here, especially pre-post game. And Saturday, they're going to have a big celebration here. But it is about as ideal of a spot as you can find in downtown Omaha for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a great spot, and there's going to be so many baseball fans here in the city of Omaha and everything. I will say just some recommendations for everybody. Parking is going to be tough no matter what. So you better make sure that you're here in a timely manner. You got to make sure that you pay for it because they will get you. Like they will be stringent on that. And according to the lovely Sunny from here at DJ's Dugout, tomorrow there will be a pretty large protest apparently happening here in the downtown area of Omaha. So
there's a lot of that going around these days.
Yeah, not trying to be political about any of it at all. Just letting everybody know traffic wise and the flow wise, that's what you're going to be looking at. and that's something to watch for. So, but either way, be on the lookout for that. And we're going to be here for pregame, postgame. I know tomorrow, though, we're going to be live at Macadoodles up here in Omaha. In fact, our guys over there at Macadoodles sent me a text. They've already had Razorback fans come in today getting those cheap Busch Light packs. So the Razorback fans are getting ready for it, and they can't wait to get out there and have some fun with it, too. So, but yeah, we'll get to your chats. Again, we'll talk. We're going to have Andrews going over to the practice. 3:10, I believe, is what it's going to be at. So we'll give you some updates on that as the time goes on. And again, tomorrow's another practice too, right? Tomorrow morning. Is that right?
Tomorrow morning it'll be cooler because we'll get to go to Cam Kojal's high school. I forgot the name of it. It's something. It's like maybe like Dillard South or something. Watson South High School, which will be cool for Cam to get. We're obviously in his hometown. I'm sure that's going to be kind of an emotional, cool moment for him. But I always love those practices. I've said it a few times because you get to see these high level future big leaguers playing on a park that obviously they haven't played in that type of park in a while. And it's just cool because you're right there by them. And there's dudes throwing bullpens in these disgusting mounds over here. It's always pretty cool. And so we'll have, again, a lot of video content from today's practice. That'll be a lot of fun. We'll get to hear from some players in the locker room. Hopefully, fingers crossed on that. Hopefully they don't gun us down on our way into the arena. But then tomorrow we'll get to be around the team a little bit more. And so that's what's always fun about these trips is really feeling like you're a part of it. And that's why, of course, everyone's got to do what they're able to do. But if there's any chance you can get up to Omaha, it's always fun to be here because you really feel like you're a part of it.
Yeah, exactly right. You're going to feel in the mode. And, Arkansas and LSU, there's no doubt that they're going to be taking over this town in their own rights. And it's going to be a lot of purple and gold, but a lot of red. And honestly, I think we were even talking about it, driving up, that it's going to be at minimum a 65, 70% of all the fans that are going to be here represented are going to be either Arkansas or LSU. So plenty of Hog fans are going to be making the trip. And the further you go, the more that come up here. And it's just going to keep on going to where no matter what we were talking about, too, if you get to the finals, for instance, which I know Arkansas's got to play some games and win some games and all that. But if Arkansas gets to the finals, no matter who they go up against, they are going to be the home team. It's going to be Baum Walker North for all intents and purposes. So having that and being that and having that coolest part of it too is what's going to be really exciting to see the Hog fans that are making the trek. Some people experience it for the first time, but there's some people, I remember talking to somebody in 2022. He was a Razorback fan, and he didn't live in Arkansas, but he lived somewhere close by here. But he just goes to the World Series every year, if Arkansas is in it or not. There's some people that just go with all the teams because they just love college baseball and everything. So you're gonna have that little league kids. Here at DJs DUGOUT, I already see little league baseball teams all over the place. So if you love baseball, you probably need to come to the College World Series because it's all baseball here.
I remember when we were in Providence and I was like, man, this is like a college basketball town.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Omaha, weirdly enough, obviously, it's where the College World Series is. It's a baseball town. Every restaurant around here is baseball theme, and we're at DJ's Dugout, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Always love seeing that. And like you said, it just brings people together. And it's definitely one of those things, of course, if Arkansas's in, you got to go. That's a must. But it's definitely one of those things that if you're just a baseball guy, it's hard not to have a good time in this atmosphere for sure. And you mentioned the fan bases and how Arkansas is going to have a decided big advantage over whoever they would hypothetically face in the finals because you just look at those fan bases. Oregon State's got some fans, but Corvallis to Omaha, not necessarily the easiest travel of all time. Arizona has been to Omaha a ton. They've got a historic program, won the Natty 4 times. It's a different level. I think at this point in time, Arkansas's baseball fan base is certainly on a different level. But Saturday is going to be the one game, maybe the only time, Arkansas, when they've played LSU in years past, really the only time Arkansas will not have a huge advantage in the fan department. And I've seen a lot of Hog fans who have been pushing against that idea that they're going to be outnumbered by LSU. And here's what I would say to Hog fans who are making the trip or not. LSU is going to have a ton of fans. Will it be, 60-40? Will it be 55-45, 50-50, whatever? But those guys are going to bring it, and Hog fans are going to bring it. The challenge is really for Hog fans to show up and make their presence felt. You don't have to fill out the entire stadium, but you better be loud with who you do bring. And that's one thing I think we can definitely count on. And so I think Saturday kind of sets the tone for this entire College World Series run. Obviously, whoever wins the game is going to be in a very good position. Both teams, those are the two top favorites to win it all. Whoever wins on Saturday night might be like a minus 105 or a minus 120 favorite to win the national title, which is just a fascinating position to be in. this early on.
Has there ever been a game in the College World Series where game one or at least in the first round, there's been a game like this where it's like everyone's eyes are on it and they're saying, oh, this is actually like the true finals? Like, I can't think of a time where it's been in the first round or, among the first games where you've had a matchup like this where everyone's like, this is the biggest and best game of matchups you'll ever see for the rest of the World Series, no matter what.
The closest thing I can think of, I don't know if there really is an example of it. Weirdly enough, I remember Oregon State, the year before they won the title against Arkansas, they played LSU in the semifinals, and I remember that felt like a big deal. But Florida wound up being the team that won it all, coming from the other side. There's always matchups. I see Scalise here says LSU Wake was like that in 2023, which I believe they met. I guess they were I think they played second maybe. That's a good example of it because I remember that walk off. I believe it was Tommy White that hit the walk off. Like that was a close game that it kind of felt like whoever wins this game is going to be the team to beat. Wake Forest had an unreal year that year. But yeah, I mean, you think back to 2022 when Arkansas and Ole Miss played, we knew they were, whoever won that game too was going to be in a good spot. But Arkansas and Ole Miss were not teams that were like juggernauts entering the tournament by any means. Neither team hosted. So yeah, I mean, Arkansas has been in a lot of big games in Omaha. I don't know if the stakes have ever been as high for a game one, like you said, as Saturday's game will be. And I spoke about it a lot on the Bombastic Podcast. I encourage everyone to go listen. One, because the guy who hosts that show, the Bombastic Podcast, absolute rocket. I mean, just a sex pistol up there, man. He's smoking hot. But also, we talked about how I think if you look at these two teams, I think Arkansas, not that it's ever an ideal situation when you have to win 4 straight, but Arkansas has a lot of arms to where, maybe they could piece that thing together. I think on the LSU side, they've got about 5 arms they really trust, and those 5 arms are great. But once you get past that, it gets real shaky real quick. I don't think LSU is capable of winning 4 straight games, 2 of which would have to come against Arkansas. And I don't know if Arkansas necessarily is either. That's a tough task to put on anyone. But I think if there were a team that were built to do it, it would be Arkansas. And so I think you add all that up, there's a lot of pressure. There's going to be a ton of fans there. All the eyes are going to be on this night game on Saturday. But I think there's actually a little bit more pressure on LSU for that reason.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get into the chat and check the vibes presented by our friends over at Basis Health, where they're changing the way healthcare is delivered by providing mobile medical visits to the comfort of your very own home. A doctor will come to your home for urgent care, primary care, IV hydration, and so much more. Basis Health, they're here for you when and where you need them the most. You can learn more at basishealth.org. So a few of you in the chat, which again, we appreciate everybody tuning in with us, considering the circumstances. Again, it's been a wild ride so far here in Omaha. We arrived, we were here for 5 minutes and already there's been chaos that's been going on, but we appreciate everybody that's been tapping in with us. Let's see what we got. Arkansas saying not going to be able to watch this game this weekend, so I need the Hogs to win easy so I don't feel like I missed out on something. Okay, sure. Yeah, I mean, win easy over LSU, no problem. But we were even like kind of having fun with that. Like if Arkansas like beat LSU handedly, which I know is not guaranteeing, but like if they won, say, 9-2 or something like that, it's just going to continue to elevate. Be like, oh, yep, this is it. This is it. It's going to happen that way.
I mean, I remember how we felt after Arkansas beat Stanford 17-2, and I know it's a little bit different situation, but like that Stanford team, if y'all remember, had beaten Arkansas in Round Rock earlier this year, and I remember there was a lot of fans in and around the Arkansas fan base who were like, don't want to see that team again. Like that was kind of the matchup that people felt like exposed Arkansas. They had that left-handed pitcher who really shut down Arkansas's lineup. Arkansas got their lick back in Omaha, and I just remember how good that felt and how big of a statement that felt like it was. And Stanford, I think, wound up going 2 in a queue. Of course, 17-2. That's probably out of the cards for Saturday on either side. But I think back to how good we felt after that and how the Ole Miss loss felt like a kick in the balls because of that. If Arkansas wins in any type of comfortable fashion whatsoever, I mean, if you win at all, you win 1-0 on a error that brings that 1 run home, you're still going to feel pretty good. But I think it would kind of set that tone. I mean, it would start, this fan base would reach a level. They're confident already. This fan base would reach a level of confidence in their Razorback baseball squad that I don't think we've ever seen.
Let's see. Also, there was Drake saying, I was able to be there in 2018 when I was a student. Sadly, now adulting is keeping me from going. Yeah, listen, it's not easy to just drop everything and plan around Omaha because you never know if your team's going to be there. And if they are, you got to plan at the very last minute and trying to figure all those things out. So I get it. But it's a tough thing to deal with no matter what. Also, let's see. We got talking about the protests and all that stuff. Scalise said, seen any Hog fans up here. not overly, because we literally drove in, stopped here at DJs Dugout, which is right off the interstate, and set up shop. So we haven't had a chance to really explore and everything too. But we have seen, as you said, some people on staff, some Razorbacks themselves, maybe not Razorback fans so much, but Razorback staffers that's there as well. Let's see. Also, Sharkasaw says, Ellis, you got to find a way to get the pencil talk on the Bombastic podcast. That'd be an amazing collab.
He was in Fayetteville this past weekend.
It's true. He didn't pull up. You told him to pull up.
Yeah, no, I told him to pull up. He ducked us, bro. So,
yeah.
But no, yeah, I mean, he shout out to him.
Yeah,
doing good work.
Ty says, how much will tickets cost for the finals? Y'all think? Man, well, it depends on who you play.
I'll tell you this: cheaper than this Saturday's tickets, and that's not an exaggeration. Like, I know that sounds stupid that the first round would be, but like we said, whoever it is in the finals, whether it's Arkansas or LSU, they're going to be going up a fan base much smaller than what they face here. And if you look at the ticket prices for the other games, I mean, not that they're ever cheap tickets, but it's a lot easier, a lot more accessible. And so even if it's Oregon State, like, we've seen Arkansas play them in a neutral location before, lower stakes and all that. But like, I mean, you were here for the finals in 2018. Did they fill up the stadium? I don't remember that.
I mean, I felt like it was pretty full with nothing but Razorback fans. That's all I remember. It's just like Razorback fans took over the whole thing. Because how many people did we say that fits? 24,000? Is that
yes, it was 24.
It was 24? Okay. So, yeah. I mean, it depends, honestly. But here's how I look at it, Andrew. Like, Razorback fans will fill it up if they're in the finals no matter what. But, again, if you, like, continue to win and you haven't lost in the postseason, like, if you go 3-0 here and then you walk right into the into the finals and you're facing off against, I don't care who it is. If you go 3-0 in Omaha and you're going into the finals, I don't care if it's Arizona or Louisville or I guess what would be the other teams? Arizona, Louisville, Coastal, and the fourth team that just escaped me.
Did you say Oregon State already?
No, I didn't. Of course. How could I forget them? Oregon State. It doesn't matter who it is. Like, you're going to have a ton of Razorback fans here, and they're all going to pull up because they feel like this. Because even I felt like in 2018, I'd say that Arkansas people didn't have belief that it was going to happen, but you still felt like Oregon State was just as good, if maybe not better, than you going into that game. But this year, it's like nothing against those other teams, but you don't feel like any of those teams are better than you go into the finals. So
absolutely not. I mean, and again, I said this about Tennessee, the Tennessee series with Arkansas and Tennessee. I was like, whoever comes out of that is going to have so much confidence after beating Tennessee or beating Arkansas. Like, that's one that kind of fires you up. If Arkansas gets past LSU, that team is going to be like buzzing. Like, it is. I mean, whoever comes in, again, same for LSU. If they beat Arkansas, they're going to have a big exhale after they get that job done. So whoever you face, even if it is Oregon State, who's really talented, I think they're the only team in this tournament that can kind of compete from a talent standpoint. Whoever faces them from the SEC is going to be extremely confident and favored fairly comfortably.
Also, let's see. David says, who besides Wood is off limits in the first game?
Nobody's off limits. I mean, dude, not that, you can win without winning that first game, but nobody's off limits.
I mean, they could throw Beidle out there, like
they certainly
Gabe Gackle, any of those guys.
I mean, they threw Aiden Jimenez out of the bullpen in game 2 against Tennessee, so I certainly think he would not be off limits. And Landon Beidle, like you said, I think he's going to be the game 3 starter. I think ideally they wouldn't use him, but I certainly wouldn't say he's off limits, especially if something crazy happens. Arkansas uses 5 or 6 arms and there's 2 outs and a lefty up at the plate in the 9th inning or whatever. I think Arkansas would go to Landon Beidle to win that game, and then you just kind of figure it out from there. But I don't think there's anybody that's off limits, honestly, when you're in the postseason. But certainly once you get into an elimination game, and even though Saturday is not an elimination game, it certainly is going to feel like a game that both teams are going to push all their chips to the middle for sure.
Austin from work says, did DJs make you guys change out of your Arkansas gear at the door? Actually, now this may come as quite a shock to all of you. But we don't wear Razorback gear nonstop, 24/7, 365. We do have other clothing options.
I mean, listen, I've upped my Razorback clothing usage. Like, I wear Razorback clothes a lot. I've got a ton in my suitcase. But y'all do realize there are 365 days in the year, and y'all see us on camera every single day. And so, look, a lot of those days, we're wearing hog stuff. But it's like sometimes it's just a Thursday.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, sometimes and I wear a lot of Star Wars shirts. It's like sometimes, and I'm wearing my Bombastic. You can't tell in the lighting, but it does say Bombastic. I mean, do y'all wear Arkansas shirts every single day of your lives? I'm looking at you, the camera. Every single day of your life, to work every day, you're wearing Arkansas clothes. I'm all for repping the squad and repping the colors, but
yeah,
maybe on our ass about this, dude.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Well, it's like, and then it's Like I said, and also you're an astute member of the media this time around, and you can't be going in there wearing Razorback gear. They won't take you very seriously if you're going in there wearing Razorback gear. So
I did think about that. We're using big boy credentials today, man. Like, hey,
yeah.
they'll gun you down if you're wearing hog gear.
Let's say they'll snipe you from the crow's nest if you end up getting too crazy with it. Let's see. Also, Josh says, Andrew, the real question: if Arkansas wins the Natty, are you going streaking onto the field?
No, I won't go streaking onto the field, but I'll maybe I'll streak somewhere. Really, what I'm going to do is crank out a really good post game show where I'm going to have, thoughts in order. It's going to be very sound and on point, and we're going to be very professional about it. But no, the celebration will be epic.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing is everybody's celebration is going to be insane. Razorback fans are going to just flood in here to DJ's dugout. We may have them all right behind us, just like shoving us into the table, like just because it's going to be so packed in here at DJ's dugout. And we'll probably, I think we'll probably get Dave Van Horn on afterwards too, like during the stream, bombastic post game. Dave will come in.
Yeah, most likely. I mean, he'll just walk right across the street from where they're standing.
Yeah, he'll be coming to hang out. So let's see. Big KG says the strutting will be seen from the stratosphere. That's what he's saying. So okay. Big Lefty says we got the Creighton fan base. Looks like a Blue Jay bar. Well, I mean,
Creighton is in Omaha.
Yes.
They play at Charles Schwab Field.
No,
I really don't understand why people expected DJ's dugout. And by the way, there's hog stuff all over. They were putting up hog signs outside. Like,
they're very, very pro Razorback, very pro Razorback here at DJ's dugout. So just make me known. You'll come here and you'll see it all. And you'll be able to check it out. So, jeez, man.
Take down that Creighton, bro. We don't want that blue in here.
Yeah, come on now.
Out, man.
Come on now. Let's see. Finch says, I can't wait to see Andrew's fresh cut after we win the Natty. Are you cutting
If we win
hair?
the Natty, I definitely don't think I am. I think if it had Arkansas lost in the regional round this year, I think I probably would have had to shave my head, honestly. Like being dead serious.
Yeah, it would be a tough thing to try to navigate through. So, and Lucius, I don't know. It's like Poseidon. If that's your real name, that's cool, dude.
Poseidon. That's a great name.
Yeah. He says, I want to win a Natty. Fair, because I think a lot of people would like. I mean, winning a Natty is cool. I hear all the kids do it, and whenever you win a Natty, it's going to be awesome. But I think like a lot of people are wanting Oregon State. They want Oregon State for the revenge game.
I'm glad people feel that way because I saw a lot of people that were like, "Nah, get them away from me." And Curtis talked about it the other day that we were having this conversation at Bomb, and a woman turned around and she was like, "No, absolutely not." And like, I get it. And it would be pretty cruel to lose to them. But I feel like that's, vanquishing the demons that you faced in the past is kind of the theme of this College World Series run that Arkansas is on right now. And so let's, bring them on.
Yeah. That's how I feel about it.
The boogeyman's going to continue to haunt you unless you kill him. You know what I mean? And so what a better way to exercise that demon to right the wrong in Charles Schwab Field, not TD Ameritrade.
I mean, what are the chances that you drop a foul ball to lose again against Oregon State? I mean, what are the chances of that happening? I mean, that would never happen twice. It's like lightning doesn't strike twice in the same spot. So it'll be totally fine. It'll be absolutely and totally fine. So, appreciate everybody tuning in here as we're live from DJ's Dugout. Reminder, we'll be live from Macadoodles up here in Omaha. Pumped about that to tell you all about the great deals. Free ice to you Razorback fans, by the way, if you come up there, as well as the cheap Busch Lights that are going to be there in the case. Really excited about that one, and just excited to be up here in Omaha in general. I mean, again, it's such a great atmosphere. I looked at the weather. It's going to be warm, but it doesn't look like it's going to be like tremendously, disgustingly hot.
Yeah, like mid to high 80s type stuff.
Yeah. I'll take that because there's been previous years where people were just melting out on the sidewalk.
Parker Coyle type numbers, a little 86 to 89.
Yes, exactly. Well, speaking of, somebody asked if do you trust Parker Coyle? Someone was just asking, hey, if you trust him.
Do I trust Parker Coyle? Well, I mean, he leads the team in ERA. He's got 24 strikeouts to 2 walks. He's been kind of Arkansas's go-to guy in terms of cleaning up messes. Is he the best arm on the team? Probably not. But yeah, I'd say I trust him. He's thrown like 100 innings for the Hogs over the years. He's been great. I don't know. Why wouldn't we trust Parker Coyle? Is there did I miss something?
No, I would trust him. I trust him all day long.
I did see someone asked earlier, they were like, who do you trust outside of, and they listed like a few guys, but they had like Beidelshees and Jimenez in there. And I'm like, damn, I don't even think they're in my top 5 of my circle of trust, honestly. I think, dude, is there a pitcher on the team that you trust more than Cole Gibbler right about now?
No.
That dude, I mean, for being, especially, I can't imagine trusting a freshman as much as I trust Cole Gibbler right now. And that's saying something because we watched Hagen Smith pitch in the postseason for Arkansas not too long ago, and that's not my way of saying Cole Gibbler's better than Hagen Smith. But like Hagen Smith had plenty of ups and downs as a freshman. But with the way that Gibbler's pitched, 0.74 ERA the last 6 weeks.
Crazy.
Unreal.
Crazy numbers that he's got going on. Yeah, I also saw, because I was thinking about, like, which pitcher would come in to the game where I'd be like, oh, no, type of thing. And there's really not one. I mean, there's ones that you never, like, some that have had bad outings and some that have good. And maybe there's one that you're, like, kind of uneasy just because of the situation they're in. Like, if someone's having to come in bases loaded, no outs, you're like, oh, crap, Because, well, who was it was it Gibbler that came in against Tennessee with bases loaded, no outs, and they got out with only them scoring 1 run? Was that?
No, well, so Wood it was the inning before. Wood was in that situation, and then they had a mound visit. He gets Andrew Fisher ground into a double play.
Okay.
And then it was the next inning with 1-on-1 out. They go to Gibbler. And in the moment, we were all kind of like, are you sure you want to pull Gage this early? Because if Gibbler's outing had, blown up on him, Arkansas would have been in not a tough spot. They would have still had they had a little bit of cushion, but it could have gotten dicey there real quick. But Gibbler shut it down, man.
Yeah, no, he did a good job with it. He did a good job. Jakota's saying he's got his hotel booked for the weekend of the 20th. No reason at all. Listen, me and Andrew keep getting emotional if we start thinking about too much about it. What if Arkansas wins the championship and the reactions that'll happen? But I'm telling you right now, if it ended up happening, it's going to look like Jonestown here in Omaha. Everyone's just going to be passed out on the ground the next morning. All these Razorback fans are just going to be in the streets. People are going to be sleeping in the streets. That's what's going to be cool is like, I don't know really what to expect. If what Hog fans going to start, tearing down stuff? Are they going to go riots? Are they going to, be like the Philadelphia Eagle fans and go crazy here in Omaha? Hopefully not. Hopefully they stay safe. But man, there'd be a lot of craziness going on. But we'd be here for it. We'd be here for it.
You know what I've noticed that Hog fans like to do?
What's that?
They like to have pitchers that like aren't in high leverage roles, and that they just hate them. They just like complain about them all the time. Like they're complaining about Ben Bybee right now. Ben Bybee like has not thrown a high leverage inning in like 2 months, dude. Jeez. Like seriously, I think he's thrown 1 inning in the postseason and it was in a 10-0 game or something like that. Like, obviously, yeah, would that be the most ideal situation having him on the mound? But it's like he has not been like a huge factor, and that's not a knock on Ben Bybee. Like he's a stud, but like what is it that's got y'all rubbed the wrong way about Bybee? Like he hasn't even the last time I can remember him pitching in a high leverage spot would have had to be like maybe the Vanderbilt series when he closed that series out. It's been a minute.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so many, and we were talking about this on the way up. There's just sometimes players that Razorback fans are like, we don't want to see this person or this one's bad because, like, in one moment this season they didn't do well, and it's just like a ruin forever. No, they're garbage. It's like, I felt like we talked about like Will McIntyre got that for a while. Where it's just like,
well, he was the guy where it was like he wasn't pitching like last year. Once things started hitting the fan for him, they really didn't use him a ton in high leverage situations. And so like, there's always this narrative of like, oh, this guy, he's just the worst. I'm like, if they don't like him, like they won't use him,
right?
And they haven't really been using him or anything like that. So it's like I don't, it's not like a thing that I think is plaguing this Razorback squad. Like if Christian Fouch were bad, that would be controversial.
Mm-hmm.
If Cole Gibbler were bad, if Gabe Gackle were bad, like that would be an issue. But the guys that they've been going to in high leverage spots have been just money.
Well, and I laugh too because, when Will McIntyre came in against Tennessee to close out that game in the regular season, I remember there were people just like, oh, blah, 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 no. And then he owned, then you're a peep. And now suddenly people are like, hey, if Will McIntyre needs to play, then let's see it. It's just amazing. Right. You live in the moments of what, like the most recent event. And, whether it's hitting or pitching or anything like that, it's like, hey, sometimes you got to live outside of your own bubble and realize that you have a dadgum good team across the board. And if you think like, oh, we got this guy that we don't like, find me any team in college baseball right now that has just a pitching staff that top to bottom is awesome. Like it's just, people don't understand that. It's like we talk about 2018, and I know it's a little bit different circumstance this year, but 2018, what did you add? You had a starting Friday guy, a starting Saturday guy, and a starting Sunday guy that you always like knew who was going to be in everything. That was such a rarity to have that. And, people just think that you should have an entire roster spots for everybody to be great. And, it's baseball, man. Like sometimes you're not going to have that. It's just a matter of who's playing the best, who's playing the most sound, and who gets it done in Omaha. Sometimes it's just as simple as that. But I think people just hang on so much to like one player or one play and be like, this guy, why are we playing this guy? Bench this guy. It's like, come on.
But, they like to do a lot too. They're like, well, if Arkansas is going to win, they need Brent Iredale to get going. They need Justin Thomas to get going. They need Ben Bybee to step up. And I'm like, do they need all of them? Or do you just kind of need, your guys? But like on this Razorback pitching staff, Dylan Carter, who's been awesome, has a 2.18 ERA, has not thrown in the postseason. Will McIntyre, been awesome, has a 2.59 ERA, has not thrown in the postseason. Christian Fouch has thrown 1 inning. Gabe Gackle has thrown, I guess, like 4 or 5 innings. The one day they had to kind of just force him into the regional round. Not saying that Arkansas is going to be able to just get through, but like there's been several teams that have won the national title basically only using 7 arms. Arkansas almost did it in 2018, and really it was only 6 arms. I mean, outside of their starter, it was really just Cronin, Losky, and Reindl out of the bullpen. Cole Ramage every now and then. But like this, everyone always has this notion to like, oh, you got to have 12 arms if you want to win the College World Series. That's not true. But I will say, if it were true, Arkansas is closer to that than all of these teams left. Like if you compare Arkansas's depth in their bullpen to LSU's, it's not even close. Like Arkansas's definitely got more depth, more guys that they depend on there. But you know, it just all matters of who steps up in those situations. Like you can have a lot of trust in a guy, but then if he doesn't get the job done in the moment, then you know your season ends. That's how it works. But and so it's not like Arkansas's in a situation where they're never going to give up runs or they're not going to have some guy come in and maybe not get the job done. But if you just kind of compare Arkansas on paper to all these other teams, they're in a very, very ideal situation from a pitching standpoint. Now that can go out the window. You lose game 1 and all of a sudden you're having to string things together. But I think if you looked at some of these other teams and you looked at their bullpens and what they have going on, I think a lot of those teams would be a lot more screwed than Arkansas would be if they lost game 1.
Yep. And hey, I'm pretty sure Will McIntyre is the only player you have that's been on a College World Series team, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean,
Will McIntyre threw 7 innings in an elimination game in the College World Series. Like that's like your 9th guy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like that's a pretty decent fallback option. Would love to see Dylan Carter get a chance to throw because just what he's been through in his career, battling back, you know, going to the JUCO route, getting hurt, getting redshirted in 2022 when they were here. Like I want to see him pitch so bad.
Yeah, I do too. Well, we'll continue on here on the show again, folks. We appreciate everybody tuning in with us here live in DJs Dugout on YouTube only because our friends over at StreamYard decided to just be terrible today and crash out. So that was perfectly timed. But either way, as a reminder, folks, brought to you by Freedom Boat Club here in Arkansas. Summer's finally here, and what better place to spend your summer than on the lake? If you don't own a boat, that's totally fine. You don't need to because Freedom Boat Club has you covered of Arkansas. Freedom Boat Club gives you that access to boats without the commitment that goes along with it. And this is a boating that fits your lifestyle, fun, flexible, and stress-free. They take care of the boat, so you simply enjoy the moment. Cape Cod to the California coast, your next boat day awaits. With 3 locations in Arkansas, lake time is closer than you think. Whether you prefer Greers Ferry Lake, Lake Hamilton, or a day on the river in Little Rock, Freedom Boat Club have Arkansas will help make your summer in the natural state the best one yet. You can check out their Instagram page at Freedom Boat Club Arkansas today to learn more about the benefits of joining the club. All right, a few other chats here too, because I know we're going to be wrapping up here after a while when Andrew's got to go to do practice. And like I said, well, who knows? Maybe we'll do a stream later tonight to maybe offset some things.
If StreamYard will get back on their BS. I checked a few minutes ago. StreamYard's still down.
Yeah.
Still have not. So I'm glad we didn't try and wait it down yet.
Yeah.
Still dude, right now it is still down. That's
Could
crazy.
you imagine? Doing that? So I think it's a rough look. So we may be moving over to a different streaming service the way they're keeping it up. But either way, let's see. We got what was it from? Big Lefty says ready to add a national championship trophy tattoo to my Razorback collection. There'll be a lot of tattoos getting made if Arkansas wins a national title in baseball this year.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a good bit.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. People were talking about Wells.
Yeah, so I see. Bo Anders here says, would Wells be a bullpen guy or a possible starter? He's talking about Jackson Wells, who is, by the way, Arkansas's. I don't know if anybody missed it. It kind of happened in the like 9:00 last night. Arkansas has their first portal commitment of this cycle. Jackson Wells, who a lot of you probably know from Little Rock, he was their ace the last few years. A guy that in 2023 led the entire country in ERA. And quickly, anytime a guy commits, people do their Google research and they're like, all right, he had a 1 whatever ERA in 2023. He was good then. Now he has a 5 whatever ERA. He sucks now. I think with the role, to answer Bo's question, I would imagine Arkansas is looking at him as a high leverage bullpen option. And I think that's again, I always play this game. If Dave Van Horn called me and asked my advice, I would definitely shorten his role because he's a guy that, he's run his fastball touched 98 this year. Like he's got good stuff. And you don't put up the numbers he put up in his sophomore year without having some pretty good stuff. And he's a guy that's, got a lot of experience. He's been a weekend starter at Little Rock. I do not anticipate him being in the weekend rotation for Arkansas. And I know a lot of people are like kind of wondering why the ERA is what it is. ERA, I got to be honest, we talk about batting averages being like kind of not the greatest metric anymore for judging a hitter. I think ERA is quickly becoming that for a pitcher because there's just so many other factors. You can look at strikeout rate, look at walk rate, hits given up and stuff like that. And not to say that he's like, crushing it in all these categories necessarily, but I think he's a guy that has a lot more value if you look at him in a different context rather than just looking at the ERA. And again, I don't think he's not coming into Arkansas to be the Friday night starter. It reminds me a little bit Justin Verlander, when he got traded to the Houston Astros back in 2017, the biggest trade the Astros have made in their franchise history, the pitching coach took one look at Justin Verlander throw a bullpen, and he was like, "Hey, your changeup kind of sucks." He was like, "Why do you throw that?" He's like, "Well, I got to keep these guys off balance. Got to, I like my fastball slider, and I like that." And he's like, "No, it sucks. Just don't throw it." And he just kind of became more fastball slider curveball while he was with the Astros, and it helped his arsenal. I think that's something that Jackson Wells, who, I'm not saying that the pitching staff at Little Rock isn't the same level, but I think Matt Hobbs will have a much better idea of how to use his tools and use his skill sets. And I think the kind of role that you saw Dylan Carter in, where he's a high velocity righty that can come in and, get a couple right-handers out, kind of clean up a mess for you, fills up the strike zone. I think kind of attacking hitters from a high leverage situation would be better for him. And I think it would be better for his pro career. Because starting is just a very different skill set. And that's not to say he doesn't have the skill set to be a starter. He's got good enough stuff, but I think he would greatly benefit from being on a team like Arkansas where he could come in and just focus on, hey, we need 6 outs. Go get these 6 outs right here. He's currently the number 126 player in the portal, according to 6-4 Analytics. There's going to be a ton more that enter, but and that number may not excite you, but I think this is a solid pickup for Arkansas. He's from Rogers. He's a local kid. Weirdly enough, did not grow up like a diehard Hog fan, as you might expect. When he was asked about it by our buddy Andrew Hutchinson, I don't think he was like raving of like, "Oh yeah, dude, can't wait to go
dream."
But I think it's a smart move that makes sense for both parties. I think it's a solid pickup. I don't think it's a Zach Root level pickup, and I don't think that's what Arkansas views it as.
Well, and also too, I kind of look at it sometimes when you get to people talk about ERA and looking at stats, like in basketball sometimes. People just will see a guy. It's like, oh, Arkansas got this transfer from like some school, and he was averaging 8 and 3, and everyone's like, "Why are we getting this guy?" It's like, you know what? Sometimes you don't need you need someone who just come off the bench and play 10 minutes, and to get you a few points and rebounds here and there. It's the same thing. It's like not like there's a reason why for pitching, for instance, you're not going to get anybody out of the transfer portal. It's not like you're going to add 5 pitchers out of the portal that all of them have a sub-1 ERA because. Yeah. They're like, hey, we want to start, we want to play, we want to do these things. Everyone has to play a role. So sometimes, you just don't need to approach it that way where it's got to be like, this amount of numbers, they have to be this amount. That's not the case all the time. Sometimes you can just do it in different directions too. A few more because we'll get into our heavy hitters because we'll talk a little bit about the practices and everything going on. So let's see. Unbiased Brim just said, Andrew, John, are you two ready for Saturday?
Yeah. That almost sounded like a little threatening the way it was typed out. But yeah, I'd say we're ready, right?
I'm ready. I'm anxious. I'm anxious to get it going because Ellis, it's a weird feeling because you haven't lost in postseason play. SEC tournament. But I'm talking about like regional super. We haven't lost. We haven't experienced that yet. And I'm not ready to experience it yet. I don't want to experience it. And, that's the nerve-wracking thing of, playing LSU, a team you're familiar with, team that you've played many times. These coaches have gone up against each other many times. You lost the series against them earlier this year. And it's going to be hostile and hotly contested. You know what that win means and what difference it makes. I'm anxious. And it's one of those things to where if you win, it's another weight off your shoulders. You're just like, okay, this is it. Like, it's almost like a test where I felt good about Tennessee, but I'm like, I don't know. Tennessee, we'll see. Or even in the region, you're like, oh, I don't know. Kansas, they look pretty good. But then you kept passing those tests. So if you do this again, you're just going to pass that extra test, and you're going to feel even better about it, man. Well, just get it done, man. Just beat LSU, and let's move on. Let's have a good Monday. Like Sunday is going to be great.
Yeah, at least let us exhale for a little bit. We'll get back into the foxhole, and we'll get ready to go to war again. But at least let us relax for a little bit. But no, I think you're 100% right. Like I think we're at this time of year, and we do this thing as sports fans where we always view things through whatever lens fits our narrative. So if a kid strikes out, well, he sucks and he can't hit against good pitching. And then, if your pitcher gives up a home run, well, he wasn't ready for the big stage. And, he's trash. He throws meatballs. His fastball's flat and all this. And we always do this where we're like, and how in college football, you'll have a team that gets a big win over number 10. and then they move up to number 10.
Mhm.
And then they lose the next week. And so then you're like, oh, wow, they beat that team and we beat them. So now that means we're here. And you're kind of trying to do this math. And then you look back at the end of the year and you're like, everything we thought we knew and we based all our opinions off of kind of didn't mean anything. That's what I love about this time of year is, one, the sample size is bigger. So we have more of an idea of what we're facing. But we're at that time of year where, like, listen, I'm not saying Arkansas is guaranteed going to win Saturday, but if they were to lose, it's like you wouldn't sit there and be like, oh, man, Arkansas choked. Oh, man, Arkansas is not ready. It's like, you lost to a good team, and I don't know if that's going to make you feel any better. But I think the same could be said for LSU. Like, LSU got a series win over Arkansas in Baton Rouge. They lose to Arkansas. I'm sure their fans, and I know they will because I'm in group messages with them, they're going to be like, oh, this Jay Johnson just sucks. And, oh, man, our pitching coach, he's got to go. And this kid. But it's like we're at the stage where these 8 teams earn the right to be here, and you just got to let the cream rise to the top. And as DVH told the team not too long ago, we are that cream. He booked his trip to Omaha a month ago. And I think that's what makes it exciting is, like, the task in front of you. Same with the Tennessee series. Like, we knew who Tennessee was. We had just seen the series. We knew how tough it was going to be. We knew what faces were going to be key factors for both teams. It's just a matter of let's just let the best man win. The best men won. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited to watch these 2 really good programs, really good squads, really good head coaches. And, again, just a ton of talent on both sides of the ball. As a baseball fan, it's just hard not to appreciate it, but I'll appreciate it a lot more if Arkansas whips that ass.
I just can't wait to see if Arkansas loses, just see LSU fans being like, no, what has Jay Johnson been on? Paul Skeens, it's all he's ever done. Just Paul Skeens is all he's good for. Or, people are going to get mad and upset by it. I guess people are talking about, real quick, apparently there's ads midstream. Folks, this is we have no control over that. We're on YouTube. And so we promise this will be hopefully the only one we have to do straight from YouTube. Okay. So, but we appreciate your patience. We promise.
Well, and again, like we deal with the circumstances we are given, and we just had to go live on YouTube, which hopefully we will never have to do again. We were talking about it before. The last time we did this was in Lexington, that random coffee shop that we were sitting outside of. That was a good time.
It was a good time. So, but again, we appreciate you guys as being patient with us because we're going to have a great time. We're going to have all great content all day long, all week long, all the way up until June 23rd. Was it for, I don't know, for 4 days or 5 days or maybe even 10 days? We're the best team in the country today. This is what Houston Nutt would say. And we're going to be the best content makers here in the country today. The rest of the time. So either way, folks, let's get into the heavy hitters presented by our friends over at HD Roofing and Construction. Storms can hit unexpectedly, as we know, just like, hey, sometimes StreamYard can crash unexpectedly. You can never prepare much for life. But HD Roofing is going to give you that peace of mind with a free inspection. When you choose HD Roofing, you can rely on professionalism, top quality materials, expert installation, and so much more. And they take care of all of your roofing needs. Check out HDArkansas.com for more info. You can check it out today, and they'll get you all taken care of. And we appreciate HD Roofing for being a part of it. So obviously, there's not really been a whole lot of heavy hitters, but I'm curious, Andrew. We'll play it this way: as whether it's seeing a player, hearing from a player, knowing a little bit about a player, whether it's today or tomorrow. Who on Arkansas you like when say, all right, I want to see what this guy has to say, or I want to see how this guy looks out there for Arkansas in these practices? Like, who are you going to be targeting?
I'm looking at Kahio Aloy, who there's not much for him. His job is hit ball hard. And it's a job he's done well a lot this year, but he's been a little just too quiet for my liking. And again, I always make fun of fans when they do the thing where they're like, oh, we got to get this guy going and we want to win. Arkansas's won 5 games without getting a ton of run production from their leading RBI guy. But I think this time of year, like I remember in 2018, when Arkansas made their run to the College World Series finals, there were a lot of guys that stepped up and did the job for Arkansas. But what was maybe the most exciting part about it was you had a sophomore in Dominic Fletcher. You had a freshman in Casey Martin, a freshman in Heston Kerstad, who kind of pushed your lineup forward and pushed you over the top. You also had a sophomore in Matt Cronin. And so it's like, not only were you competing for the national title, it gave you that glimpse of like, oh, I can't wait to see these guys on this stage again. Matter of fact, I think Casey Martin owns the record for most hits by a Razorback in Omaha for his career, and he did it all in 2 seasons. I'm excited to see Kahio get back to kind of what he can do. There's a lot of people that say you can't hit home runs in the College World Series. You can't hit them in that park. It's just a massive park. And I said this the other day, when Kahio Aloy gets a hold of one, those go out of any park.
Yep.
And so I think he's got that kind of capability, but really, I just want to see the run production. Like I think about the Texas series. I don't know if he hit a home run in the Texas series, but it felt like every time he came up with runners on base, they were, there was a trip, it's a bases clearing double or a 2-run single or something like that. He leads Arkansas in RBI for a reason. I'm excited to see what he looks like, but really, I'm excited to see everyone, but I'm excited to see some of these guys that we know are going to be back, like Cam Kojal, like Ryder Helfrich, Gabe Cackle. Nolan Souza's not going to be playing, but, just some of these guys that are going to be back in that foxhole with you next year. I'm excited to see them grow and learn on this stage because, what better way to learn and kind of elevate your game than doing it here on the biggest stage possible?
You know who I'm interested in is Zach Root, and here's why. Because we know Zach Root's been a great player, and he's had moments, and he's an emotional guy. But this dude pretty much went viral this past weekend against Tennessee. Everybody, like Barstool Sports was talking about him and, his thing where he's saying to the bench and to the dugout there and yelling and his stuff and his energy and all of that. And now he's in the College World Series and he's going to be facing an LSU team he's faced before. So I'm wondering, is it going to be something where he had all that emotion and everything? Is he going to be more chill? Is it going to be like, all right, I got to revert back to maybe a little bit more of what it was before? Or is he like, I'm going to ride this. I'm going to ride this energy because I went out there and I threw 98 miles an hour and something I've never done before. And I own that team and I got all this attention and it's almost like expected of me. Like, what is his approach and mentality going to be? Not just in the game, of course, but just leading up to the game. Because I'm sure there's a lot of national guys that are here from D1 baseball or whatever. If they get a chance to talk to Zach Root, they're like, hey, man, like, that was crazy. Like, we were fired up. Like, what was that? Like, he's going to get reminded of it, too. So I'm curious to see how he handles everything going on with the excitement, but also the attention that he has had. Is he going to own it and embrace it and fuel him? Or is he going to try to be like, I'm trying to get back and, scale back a little bit and, not say a whole lot about it?
I think there's something special about, like obviously when you have a guy like Hagen Smith, who's that, your unquestioned king, your guy, like no doubt about it. Who would you want on the mound in the biggest moment of the year? You want it to be Hagen Smith. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if Zach Root has necessarily had that feel for Arkansas fans all this year, but there is something cool about a guy who you brought in, the number one pitcher in the portal. You brought him in for this exact job. Mm-hmm. You put him out there game one every week for this exact job. We saw him pitch in this exact matchup against Cade Anderson for LSU, who, by the way, he's going to be one of, if not the top 2 or 3 pitchers off the board this summer. I've actually seen him higher in some draft projections than Liam Doyle, who Arkansas just took out back twice. And so it's another big time matchup. And I like what Matt Hobbs had to say about Root the other day, that he's one of those guys that he's just ultra competitive and kind of plays with an edge, lives with an edge, and kind of always wants to prove he's that guy, prove that he's one of the best pitchers in the country, prove that he's a top prospect. And he's been proving it a lot here lately. He outpitched Cade Anderson in Baton Rouge back in May, even in a game that Arkansas wound up, it was one of the few games all year Arkansas's bullpen cost them. Zach Root outpitched Cade Anderson. Both guys are very capable of shutting any lineup in the country down. I think being in this type of stage, certainly, like, it shouldn't be one you have to get your guys motivated for. But I think pitching against Cade Anderson I think Zach Root's the type of guy that's going to bring a little something out of him. We talked about Blaine Knight and how he loved that matchup with Cody Clemens, but Blaine Knight faced a lot of aces that year. He faced Brady Singer. He faced Casey Mize. He faced Zach Kess. He faced all these big arms, and he won against all of them, and he took something personal from that. And I think Zach Root's wired that same kind of way. You saw that emotion kind of overflow against Tennessee. Maybe he'll be a little bit toned down, but I think if I know Zach Root, like I think I know Zach Root, as we look at Ryan Stanek in the bullpen for the New York Mets, how about him? But I think Zach Root has probably been itching to get on that bump and pitch against Cade Anderson.
Andrew, I want to ask you this as a concern. You want to know how many games Arkansas has won away from Baum-Walker Stadium over the past month?
Over the past month? So let's see. They didn't win in Hoover. They won maybe that one Baton Rouge game. Is that it?
That's it. Now, granted, it's like even before then, though. You had the one game in Florida. You won April 26th. And then you had, again, away from Baum-Walker, you won against Georgia.
By the way, speaking of that Georgia game, I want to give a quick shout-out because who was it in the chat here? I hate that we're not on stream.
I know, it sucks, dude.
Shout out to Graham6745. He says, this is a super late and bad question, but what happened to Souza? The one game that I missed this year, something happened, and I never heard what it was. I feel bad for Graham that he's just been having to, wonder. Yep. But that Georgia game that you're referencing, one of their only road wins of the year, or at least in the last couple months, Nolan Souza had a play where he hits an awesome double off the wall against Brian Curley. And it was just a great swing, the type of swing that you're like, man, that'll get him going. And then there's a ground ball to the third baseman, and Nolan Souza makes one of the stupidest base running mistakes I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Tries to beat the guy to the bag, ends up having to try to avoid the tag. and he tore his shoulder. He tore, I guess it was his labrum in his shoulder. The same kind of injury we saw Kendall Diggs have. The same kind of injury we saw Peyton Stovall have. It's a tough one, but he's been out for the year since then. But he is out of the sling.
Yes, which is a good sign. But we'll even take it back a step further. You want to know how many games Arkansas has won away from Von Walker since the April 1st, we'll say?
3.
Exactly right. 3 games
That's
away.
not a lot.
So that's where and we'll get to the chats before we wrap up here, but I'm like, how is that a concern? Because this team, they swept Texas at home. That was great. They beat Tennessee at home in the regular season, but also in the supers. They swept all these games have been at home. They didn't win every series because they lost to the Texas A&M series at home. But that's also a test I feel like maybe isn't getting talked about enough is how is this team going to be away from Baum? Because again, it's everybody. You want a home field advantage, but in a different ballpark, they haven't had as many opportunities, but also they haven't won a ton of games away from Baum.
Yeah, and there also haven't been like a massive amount of opportunities. I think I go back to you set the cutoff there at April 1st. Right before that is when I believe they swept Vanderbilt on the road. They also had a big series win over Ole Miss. Like they played in Arlington, which Arlington I wouldn't say they played out of their shoes. I think that experience, some of the wins, some of the losses as well. Like I think you can learn from those close. I mean, against Georgia, that was 2 one-run games, 1 in 12 innings that you lose there. LSU, you have a really close game on Friday night, really close game on Sunday that you wind up finding a way to dig deep in. I think Arkansas can build off of those experiences. And I don't want to say it's a completely overblown thing, but I remember in 2018, you remember we were having the same conversation where we were like, Arkansas, they did not win a single road series that entire 2018 season. The best team in school history to this point did not win a single true road series all year. And so it's kind of one of those things like you haven't done it until you do it. And I do think it helps that this isn't a true road environment,
Right.
And they did, they played the team they're playing on Saturday. They played them in a road environment and they lost. They got overwhelmed in that Saturday game. But I think that Sunday day game is something you can build on. And I think it's going to be a similar type of atmosphere, except more Hog fans there. I think they're going to handle the atmosphere pretty well.
Yeah, people are asking out of how many games they went 3-7. So out of 10 games since that point away from Baum Walker.
For a team as good as this Arkansas team, being 3-7 in any type of context is somewhat notable.
Yeah, again, so I'm not trying to scare anybody. It's just one of those things where again, it's about the opportunities, it's about the teams you played, and you won some games, but it feels like it's been a long time since you've won a game away. You've been away from your ballpark, but and that's also not to mention it's the biggest stage of college baseball you're going to be playing in, and what will be. I don't even think it's a doubt, Ellis. The LSU Arkansas game is going to be the most watched game of any College World Series game the rest of the year. Even if Arkansas goes to the finals and everything, I still think that this game is going to be the most watched game.
Save for maybe the next time these two teams might play later in this week.
Yeah, true. Yeah, got to remember that. So we'll get to a few of your chats, folks, and then we'll wrap up again. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate DJs Dugout having us here. As we're going to be doing we'll do another live stream later tonight here from DJs Dugout. As soon as we get everything put together, hopefully streamers got their stuff figured out, and we'll have some great practice footage and videos and all that for you on Inside Arkansas. So be sure to subscribe. All that good stuff. It's still not working.
Still no StreamYard, man. That's crazy.
What a great.
Thank God we didn't just sit around and wait on them, honestly.
Yeah, I know, because then we'd just be sitting here looking at each other forever. But luckily, we still try to find ways. Still trying to find ways. Big KG says, I'm predicting Ryder Helfrich to be the heavy hitter for the LSU game. Applies dumb pressure on the check swings and is batting 500 plus in the regionals and supers. So
yeah, I mean, Ryder Helfrich's been killing it, man. And actually, we were talking about it on the way up here. The series that he kind of got things going was against LSU. He swung the bat really well in that series. Absolutely wears out that third base line. Yeah, Ryder Helfrich could not say enough good things about the lad.
Yeah. Also, let's see. SCT was like, y'all have to remember with a bigger outfield, more balls will fly short, and in the gaps, our offense will be fine. So.
Yeah, I mean, look, I talked about this on the Bombastic podcast the other day because, you always hear this thing about how you got to change the way you play and you got a small ball and you got to do all these things. Situational hitting, believe it or not, has been a huge strength for Arkansas. They're top in the SEC in runners in scoring position, top in the SEC with runners on base. They're top in the SEC in advancing those runners. They're near the top in sack flies. Like, Arkansas does a lot of things despite not playing small ball a ton. Only 16 sacrifice bunts on the year. Arkansas does a really good job getting guys on base, getting runners over, getting them in. And, of course, they have the power gap to gap, really anyone through 1 through 9 in the lineup. That is still going to be a factor. It's still going to approach the way that teams come after them. I'll be interested to see if Arkansas can work. I feel like Arkansas they don't, they go through stretches where they'll like work a ton of walks. And we saw against Creighton where they get walked like 12 times in that one game. I think if we're seeing that version, the selective version of Arkansas's lineup, not just putting everything in play, which I know everyone's going to hate hearing that. I actually think they're a lot more dangerous when they are selective, when they are making these pitchers work. And I think Arkansas, if you look at these offenses, they're as equipped to succeed in these circumstances as anyone. And again, I know y'all are going to be stunned. The ball is going to go over the fence a lot in TD Ameritrade. I know it's a bigger park. I know it's 15 feet wider. It's hot out here. You got a bunch of big donkeys that can swing the bat. I'm going to go see them at batting practice here in a minute. The ball is going to leave the yard a lot. I'm just telling you right now. Like, I know it's not going to be slugfest because you got good pitching staffs, but it's like the idea that like you can't hit for power in Omaha is just a myth that is not backed up by the fact that they broke their home run record in like each of the last 3 years.
I could be wrong, Ellis. Didn't in 2022 Arkansas have a hitter that like didn't break the record, but like hit a home run so far? Like,
yeah, Brady Slavens hit
yeah.
the furthest back then. I think was it TD Ameritrade back then?
Yeah, it was back then. Yeah, it was.
It was the longest home run in the history of the park, which has only been up since like whatever it was like 2010 or whatever. Right. But it's like a 432-foot bomb, and I believe in 2023. Like they set the record at Omaha. It was like the most home runs there have ever been in the College World Series. And that's a little bit like teams are just kind of, that's how they play a little bit. But you see a lot of these big dudes that can swing the bat.
Yeah.
And Arkansas, like the home run Logan Maxwell hit. Yeah, that might not get out. And the home run that Ryder Over get, yeah, that might not get out. But the idea that like there's not going to be teams hitting for power here, like I don't know if I would quite buy that.
If Ahiva Loy gets a hold of one, folks, I think it's probably going to go out. I think if like the one he had against Creighton. Speaking of. I think that one's probably going to go out. So, and last one before we get out, again, appreciate everybody. Real quick, just wanted to address Jeff Gordon. I don't know if it's Jeff. I
think it's that guy.
Has to be. He says they also swept Vandy on the road. You're only considering what happened during their brief skid when he's talking about the games. I know that, but that was my point. Is like you're talking about such a long stretch where you haven't had as many opportunities. I get it, but it's like those are the things where this was the year where finally home field came through for you. The past 2 years home field didn't come through for you. This time it did. And I think Razorback fans are going to be out there. And that's also what's going to be helpful too, is this is the one game, or at least the games you play against LSU, but this one game is the only time you are not going to be completely and totally outnumbering the opponent. Folks, I hate to say it, me and Els talked about it on the way up. LSU is going to have more fans up here than Arkansas, and that's okay. It is totally fine. It's not an indictment against Arkansas. It's just going to show that LSU has that. And guess what you do? You shut them up, you send them home early, and then you don't have to worry about it the rest of the time. Simple as that. So,
listen, you don't have to. We don't have to win the ticket scan competition.
No, who cares?
Let's win the volume competition, and let's win the competition on the field.
Yeah, that means a little bit more. So, all right, well, Ellis, any final thoughts before we roll out of here, man?
No, my final thoughts are excited to go watch the team. We're about to walk across the street, and I'm excited to. I don't know how much video they're going to let us get. I don't know what the setup's going to look like, but I'm excited to see whatever we can get. And so, stay tuned. We're going to have some type of coverage. We're going to have some type of video to put out later. And look forward to talking about some of our thoughts from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, appreciate everybody's patience with us. We're here from DJs Dugout. We're going to be live at Macadoodles tomorrow. Later this evening, we will be doing a live stream. We'll see how it goes and everything. Hopefully, everything's going according to plan by that point in time. But again, subscribe to us. We're going to have a bunch of content. Shout out to all of our sponsors. We're going to tell you all more about that as the week goes on. And we're really excited to be up here in Omaha for the College World Series. So for Andrew Ellis, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel. Later tonight. Have the great rest of your day, everybody, and we'll see you then.